This is a deep look into AMD's recent third-quarter earnings.
Yeah, AMD just dropped their Q3 2024 report.
And it's certainly turning heads.
For sure. It's packed with interesting stuff. Record revenue, for one.
Right, a huge jump in their data center business, too.
And all sorts of hints about how AI is playing a role in their success.
So let's break it down. What's really important here?
Yeah, what it means for AMD and what you can take away from it all.
All right, well, the big number everyone is talking about, that's $6.8 billion in revenue.
That's an 18% jump from this time last year.
It's a record for AMD, isn't it?
It is. It signals that their growth isn't slowing down.
I know the chip industry's been doing pretty well overall.
It has.
Would you say AMD's just riding that wave, or are they outperforming the competition?
It's a bit of both, actually.
Okay.
The semiconductor industry is in a growth phase,
Right.
but AMD is exceeding many of its competitors. This revenue jump puts them in a very strong position going forward.
And speaking of strong positions, we have to talk about that incredible growth in their data center segment.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Their data center segment revenue more than doubled this quarter.
Really?
Yeah, 122% increase year over year.
Wow.
That's $3.5 billion, nearly half of their total revenue.
122%. That's huge. What's driving that kind of growth?
Well, there are two key factors here. First, their EPYC CPUs, which are server processors, are in high demand.
Okay.
Second, and perhaps even more significantly, their Instinct GPUs are seeing incredible adoption rates.
GPUs in data centers.
Yeah.
I thought those are mainly for things like gaming.
You're right. GPUs are known for gaming, but AMD's Instinct GPUs are different. They're specifically designed for AI and high-performance computing.
Oh, I see.
They're built to handle the heavy lifting that comes with AI.
Okay.
You know, the massive amounts of data and complex calculations that AI models require. And with the explosion of AI applications across industries, the demand for these specialized GPUs is, well, through the roof.
It seems like you can't go anywhere these days without hearing about AI.
Yeah, you're right. It's not just hype. AI is genuinely transforming so many fields.
Right.
And AMD is now a key player in providing the infrastructure that makes it all possible.
Yeah, the report even called out some big names who are using their technology.
Exactly. They specifically mention Oracle Cloud. They're utilizing AMD's MI300X GPUs to power their new AI supercluster. And it's not just Oracle. Numerous other cloud providers that are heavily invested in AI are also turning to these GPUs. This is a strategic win for AMD, no doubt.
So this is more than just AMD having a good quarter.
It is.
It seems like they're positioning themselves at the forefront of one of the biggest technological shifts we've seen in a while.
You hit the nail on the head. They're not just riding the AI wave.
Right.
They're supplying the powerful engines that are driving it forward.
But let's not forget about us regular folks who just want a fast PC.
Right.
What's happening with their client segment?
Yeah.
Which includes those Ryzen CPUs for PCs.
There's good news on that front as well.
Oh, good.
The client segment saw a healthy 29% growth year over year, bringing in $1.9 billion.
So are people finally upgrading their PCs after holding off for so long, or is there something else driving that growth?
It's a combination of factors, actually.
Yeah.
The supply chain issues that were plaguing the industry have eased up.
Right, right.
But AMD has also introduced some genuinely compelling products. Their new Ryzen processors, built on the Zen 5 architecture, are winning over consumers with their balance of performance and power efficiency.
And I heard they have even more exciting stuff coming out soon, right?
They do.
Those Ryzen 9000 X3D processors.
Absolutely. They're expected to launch soon.
Oh, wow.
And they could be a game changer, especially for gamers. These new processors feature 3D V-cache technology, which essentially stacks extra memory directly onto the processor die.
Wow.
This drastically reduces the time it takes for the CPU to access frequently used data, so you get a noticeable performance boost in games and other applications that rely heavily on memory bandwidth.
That sounds impressive. So are these processors going to be a big deal for AMD?
I think so.
Could they give them an edge over their rivals?
It's definitely possible. The early benchmarks and reviews have been very promising. The Ryzen 9900X3D in particular has shown significant performance gains over Intel's competing offerings, especially in gaming. This could be a significant win for AMD and help them capture even more market share in the high-end desktop PC market.
So things are looking pretty bright for AMD on the client segment front as well, but we know it can't all be sunshine and rainbows.
That's true.
Were there any areas where they didn't do as well?
There were a couple of areas where revenue declined.
Okay.
Their gaming and embedded segments both saw a dip.
Oh, that's interesting. What happened there?
The decline in gaming is largely due to lower sales of their custom chips for gaming consoles.
Hmm.
This might indicate a slight slowdown in new console sales, which isn't entirely surprising given the current economic climate.
Right.
And the fact that current-gen consoles are still very capable.
Right. People might be holding onto their consoles a bit longer before upgrading. But what about the decline in embedded?
The embedded segment is a different story. The decline there seems to be mostly due to customers working through excess inventory. Remember, we had a period of intense demand for chips across all sectors, and now things are leveling out.
Right.
This is actually a common trend in the semiconductor industry after periods of rapid growth. It's a natural market adjustment, not necessarily a cause for concern.
So it's not a major red flag, just the industry catching its breath after a period of intense growth.
Exactly. And it's worth noting that despite these declines, AMD is still projecting very strong overall growth for the next quarter.
Speaking of which, they're expecting another record quarter with revenue projected to be around $7.5 billion. What's making them so optimistic?
Well, there are a few factors contributing to their optimism.
Okay.
First, they're banking on continued data center growth.
Given the trends we're seeing, that's a pretty safe bet.
Right. Second, they have new product launches on the horizon, like those Ryzen 9000 X3D processors we discussed, which are likely to drive sales. And finally, there's another interesting factor that could play a significant role in their future success.
Oh, you've got me intrigued. Tell me more.
Remember that acquisition they announced a while back? ZT Systems?
Yes, the data center infrastructure company. Didn't they specialize in building custom data center solutions?
Exactly. That acquisition is expected to close in the first half of 2025.
Wow.
And it could be a real game changer for AMD,
Yeah.
particularly in their pursuit of AI and data center dominance. ZT Systems brings a wealth of expertise in designing and building customized data center solutions for large companies. This acquisition gives AMD direct access to that expertise and infrastructure,
I see.
allowing them to offer a more comprehensive and tailored solution to their data center clients.
So it's not just about the chips themselves. It's about providing a complete package.
Precisely. AMD is thinking long-term and strategically. They're not just playing the game. They're changing the roles to favor their strengths and position themselves for continued success.
This is getting more interesting by the minute. We've covered a lot of ground already. Record revenue, booming data centers, AI playing a central role, a few bumps in the road, but overall, a very strong performance from AMD's. But before we move on, I want to make sure we're connecting all this back to our listener.
Yeah.
What's the key takeaway here? What should they be thinking about after this deep dive?
The key takeaway is this. AMD is on a roll.
Okay.
They're capitalizing on the explosion of AI
Yeah.
and their strong position in the data center market. Their strategic moves, like the ZT Systems acquisition and their focus on developing a robust ecosystem around their hardware, are setting them up for long-term success. If you're interested in the future of technology, AMD is a company to watch very closely.
And to add to that, I think it's worth noting that AMD is proving that innovation and strategic thinking can pay off. They've gone from being primarily known for PC gaming components to a major player in the data center and AI space.
And that brings us to a really fascinating question. Will AMD's current momentum be enough for them to challenge the giants, Intel and NVIDIA, in their respective markets?
That's a great question. And what does the future hold for AMD in the ever-evolving world of AI and high-performance computing? We'll have to keep our eyes peeled and see how this all plays out. But one thing is certain. AMD is a company that's not afraid to push boundaries and make bold moves.
Right.
And that makes them a fascinating company to follow.
It really is a dynamic time for the semiconductor industry. Things are changing so rapidly, and AMD is right in the thick of it all.
You know, one thing that stood out to me in this report is how much they emphasize their commitment to an open ecosystem.
Right.
What does that mean exactly, and why is it such a big deal for AMD?
That's a great observation. This idea of openness is central to AMD's strategy. Essentially, they're trying to make their hardware and software as compatible as possible with other technologies and platforms. It's about fostering collaboration and interoperability.
So they're not trying to create a closed system where everyone has to use only AMD products.
Exactly. They're building bridges, not walls. They want to make it easy for developers to build software that runs smoothly on their hardware, and they're working with partners across the industry to create a more open and interconnected computing landscape.
I'm starting to see why that would be important. It makes them a more appealing partner for companies who don't want to be locked into a single vendor's technology.
That's one of the key benefits. It gives their customers more flexibility and choice. But there's another major driver behind this open ecosystem approach: the rise of open source software and open standards.
So it aligns with the broader trend of collaboration and shared development in the tech world.
Precisely. By embracing open source principles and actively contributing to open standards, AMD is positioning itself as a leader in this evolving landscape.
And it's not just about being a good citizen in the tech community, it's a smart business strategy too.
Absolutely. It's a way to stay ahead of the curve and attract top talent who are drawn to open and collaborative environments. And there's one more crucial piece of this open ecosystem puzzle: AMD's ROCm software platform.
I saw that mentioned in the report, but to be honest, I'm not entirely sure what it is or why it matters.
ROCm stands for Radeon Open Compute Platform. Think of it as AMD's counterpart to NVIDIA's CUD platform. It's a suite of software tools that enables developers to unlock the full potential of AMD GPUs for high-performance computing and AI applications.
So if I'm an AI developer, ROCm is the toolbox I need to create and optimize my AI models for AMD hardware.
Precisely. And here's where the open part gets really interesting. ROCm is entirely open source.
Oh, okay.
This means anyone can contribute to its development and improvement. That's a stark contrast to CUDA, which is proprietary to NVIDIA.
So with ROCm, AMD is fostering a community of developers and promoting a more collaborative approach to AI development.
Exactly. They're creating a more accessible and transparent ecosystem, which in turn makes their GPUs more attractive to a wider range of users.
And it sounds like they're getting some impressive results.
They are. The report highlighted some impressive performance numbers on the MLPerf benchmark, which is a widely recognized industry standard for evaluating AI performance. Their Instinct MI300X GPUs running ROCm were shown to be on par with NVIDIA's top-of-the-line H100 GPUs.
That's huge. They're going head-to-head with the industry leader in AI performance. This open ecosystem strategy seems to be paying off.
It is. It's attracting developers, driving performance improvements, and positioning AMD as a formidable competitor in the AI hardware market.
They also mentioned working with partners across the industry.
Yes.
Can you give us some concrete examples of what these partnerships look like?
One example that stands out is their collaboration with Meta on the release of Llama 3.2, a powerful AI language model. AMD is actively working to ensure that Llama runs efficiently on their hardware, from cloud servers down to AI PCs.
Okay.
This partnership demonstrates AMD's commitment to working within the open-source AI community to make cutting-edge technology more accessible. Another significant partnership involves Microsoft Azure.
So they're not just building the chips, they're actively involved in making sure the software ecosystem around those chips thrives.
Exactly. It's a comprehensive approach that seems to be resonating with developers and partners.
This whole open ecosystem concept is fascinating. It feels like a different way of thinking about technology. Less about cutthroat competition and more about collaboration.
I think you've hit the nail on the head. In a field as complex and rapidly evolving as technology, collaboration can be just as important as competition.
Speaking of collaboration, there's one detail in the report that I found particularly surprising,
Okay.
even a bit ironic.
What's that?
Their collaboration with Intel.
Ah, yes. The by86 Ecosystem Advisory Group. You're right, that is a surprising development.
AMD and Intel working together. I thought they were arch rivals.
They are, in many ways. But it seems they've both recognized that there are bigger challenges that require a collaborative approach.
Right.
This advisory group, which also includes some major players like Broadcom, Dell, Google, and even Linus Torvalds, the creator of Linux, is all about creating a more robust and interoperable by86 ecosystem.
So even amidst their fierce competition, they're finding common ground for the greater good of the industry.
Precisely. It's about working together to solve common technical challenges and create a more stable foundation for software development across the by86 architecture.
And that's good news for developers who won't have to worry as much about compatibility issues between AMD and Intel platforms.
Absolutely. It streamlines the development process, simplifies things for everyone, and ultimately benefits the entire ecosystem.
It's a fascinating example of how competition can be a powerful driver of innovation, but also how cooperation is sometimes necessary to overcome obstacles and push the industry forward.
It's a delicate balance to strike. But when companies like AMD and Intel can find ways to work together, it benefits everyone involved.
This deep dive into AMD's earnings has been packed with insights.
It has.
From the remarkable growth in data centers to their strategic embrace of open ecosystems. But before we wrap up, I want to take a step back and look at the bigger picture. We've seen the explosion of AI, the growing importance of data centers, and this shift towards more open and collaborative approaches to technology. Where do you see all of this heading in the next few years?
That's a great question. And if I had a crystal ball, I'd be a very wealthy person. But based on what we're seeing now, I think it's safe to say that the demand for high-performance computing, particularly for AI, will continue to grow exponentially. AI is becoming increasingly embedded in every aspect of our lives, and as the amount of data we generate continues to explode, data centers will become even more crucial to our digital infrastructure.
So we're just at the beginning of this technological revolution.
Absolutely. And for companies like AMD, who are at the forefront of these trends, the future looks incredibly bright. But it's not just about the companies themselves. It's about the potential of these technologies to address some of the world's most pressing challenges, from climate change to disease.
And to think that AMD, a company once primarily associated with PC gaming, is now playing a crucial role in this technological transformation.
It's a testament to their ability to adapt, innovate, and execute their strategy effectively. They've made some bold moves, and those moves seem to be paying off.
I'm curious, what are some of the potential risks or challenges that AMD might face in the years to come? We've talked a lot about their successes, but every company faces obstacles.
Right.
What are some of the things that could potentially slow down their momentum?
That's an important question. One of the biggest challenges for AMD, and indeed for any company in the semiconductor space, is the highly cyclical nature of the industry. Demand for chips can fluctuate significantly based on global economic conditions, geopolitical events, and even things like changes in consumer spending habits.
So they're at the mercy of these larger economic forces that are often difficult to predict.
Exactly. And that can make it challenging to plan for the future and invest in new technologies. Another potential challenge for AMD is the intense competition in the markets they operate in. They're going up against some of the biggest and most well-funded companies in the world, companies like Intel and NVIDIA, who have vast resources and decades of experience.
It's a David and Goliath situation in some ways.
In some ways, yes. AMD has done an incredible job of gaining market share and challenging the status quo. But maintaining that momentum and continuing to innovate at a rapid pace will be crucial for their long-term success. Another challenge they face is managing their growth effectively. They've expanded rapidly in recent years, both organically and through acquisitions like ZT Systems.
Acquisitions can be tricky. Integrating different company cultures and operations can be a real challenge.
Absolutely.
Right.
And as AMD grows, they'll need to ensure that they maintain a cohesive company culture and a clear strategic vision. Otherwise, they risk becoming too fragmented and losing their agility. And let's not forget the geopolitical risks. The global semiconductor industry is increasingly caught in the crossfire of tensions between the US and China.
So navigating these complex geopolitical waters will be crucial for any company with a global presence like AMD.
Absolutely. They'll need to carefully balance their operations and partnerships to avoid being caught in the middle of these geopolitical disputes. And finally, there's the constant pressure to innovate.
Especially in the world of technology where things change so quickly.
Exactly. AMD has done a remarkable job of developing innovative products and technologies, but they can't afford to rest on their laurels. They need to continue to invest heavily in research and development to stay ahead of the curve and anticipate future trends in computing, artificial intelligence, and data center infrastructure.
So they've got a lot on their plate.
They do, but they've also demonstrated that they're up for the challenge. AMD is a company with a proven track record of resilience, innovation, and strategic thinking.
This brings us to the end of our second part of this deep dive into AMD's Q3 earnings. We've uncovered their successes, their challenges, and we've even peeked into the future of the semiconductor industry.
It's been a fascinating journey, exploring the complexities of AMD's business and the forces shaping the technology landscape.
But before we conclude, there's one more aspect of AMD that we haven't touched upon yet.
Okay.
Something that sets them apart from many other tech giants. It's their focus on sustainability.
That's right. While it might not be the first thing that comes to mind when you think of a semiconductor company,
True.
AMD has been making significant strides in reducing their environmental impact.
I hadn't really thought about the environmental impact of the tech industry, to be honest.
Yeah, it's an important consideration,
It is.
especially as the demand for computing power continues to grow. Data centers in particular consume a massive amount of energy.
Yeah, that's true.
AMD has been actively working to improve the energy efficiency of their processors and GPUs.
So they're designing chips that use less power.
Exactly. They've made some real breakthroughs in their chip designs that allow for higher performance
Wow.
with lower power consumption. For example, their latest generation of EPYC server processors deliver significantly more performance per watt
Right.
than their predecessors. And this translates into real savings for data center operators, both in terms of electricity costs
Right.
and their carbon footprint.
That makes sense. But it's not just about the chips themselves, is it?
No, it's about a holistic approach to sustainability.
Okay.
AMD is also working to reduce their environmental impact across their entire supply chain. From manufacturing to packaging to transportation, they've set ambitious goals for reducing their greenhouse gas emissions, conserving water, and minimizing waste.
So they're really taking a comprehensive approach to sustainability. It's not just a PR stunt.
No, it's a genuine commitment. And it aligns with the growing demand for environmentally responsible practices across industries.
Sure.
Consumers and investors are increasingly prioritizing companies that are taking concrete steps to address climate change and other environmental challenges.
And this could be a competitive advantage for AMD as well, right?
Absolutely. Companies that are seen as leaders in sustainability are often rewarded with increased brand loyalty, investor confidence, and even preferential treatment from government regulators.
So AMD's focus on sustainability is not just good for the planet. It's also good for their business.
That's the beauty of it. When done right, sustainability can be a win-win for both the company and the environment.
I'm really impressed with what AMD is doing on the sustainability front.
Yeah.
It's encouraging to see a tech company taking these issues seriously.
I agree. It sets a positive example for the industry, and hopefully it will inspire other companies to follow suit.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive.
We have.
We've explored AMD's impressive financial performance, their strategic moves, their embrace of open ecosystems, and even their commitment to sustainability. What a journey it's been.
It's been a fascinating exploration of a company that's truly at the forefront of technological innovation.
And for you, our listener, we hope you found this deep dive insightful and engaging. We've aimed to provide you with a comprehensive understanding of AMD's current position, their strategic direction, and the broader trends shaping the tech industry.
We've only scratched the surface, of course. There's so much more to explore and discover in the world of technology and business. But we hope this deep dive has sparked your curiosity and provided you with some valuable insights.
And as always, we encourage you to continue exploring, questioning, and learning. The world of technology is constantly evolving, and there's always something new to discover.
Until next time, keep those brains buzzing, and we'll see you back here soon for another deep dive into the most fascinating corners of the world.